The Irish Council Against Bloodsports said they've captured footage from hare coursing events in Galway and Offaly, which they say prove that regulations to protect hares in the sport are being ignored. The footage shows a hare being mauled by two dogs, and the council alleged that this took place in Banagher in County Offaly over the weekend. Joining me now is Aideen Yourell from the Irish Council Against Bloodsports. Good morning to you, Aideen.
Good morning, Fran. It was actually in a place called Balnagar, it's not too far from Tullamore. That's the name of the place.
All right. Tell us.
We got the footage.
Tell us about that footage. What is contained in that footage?
Oh, it's absolutely barbaric, Fran. If you've seen the footage, a hare being severely mauled. It's hit. It's somersaulted into the air. It's pinned down. It's rooted at by the dogs. It's appalling. Absolutely appalling mauling that it's getting. And this is happening every year. The same thing. Hares are being mauled, and we know they're being mauled routinely because we get the reports from the rangers who attend meetings for the season. We get them under FOI, and like for instance, the most recent ones show that's for the 2015 and 16 season. For example, at Fran Curry, 14 hares were hit, like 2 injured, 6 badly, with 1 dying and 3 put down. Old Kilcullen, 7 hares struck, 3 dying of injuries. At Kerry, 3 hares that struck, 2 put down. And it goes on like that.
And who monitors this, Aideen? Well,
actually, it's very little monitored because the National Parks and Wildlife Service are so short of staff now, and there are a range of vacancies because apparently they don't. This country doesn't really give wildlife much priority, but there are so many vacancies now, and the rangers are stretched to the limit. And these meetings take place at weekends, and as far as I know, they're not really paid.
What I meant was the statistics you're giving me there. Who has come up with those? Is that your people that are going around?
Actually, believe it or not, some of them are from the rangers who attended meetings, and actually some of them are from the coursers themselves. Would you believe it? They're actually giving figures for hits and kills, but I feel they're minimised because they have to account for every hare that they catch. You know,
the particular piece of footage you're talking about from County Offaly, that hare wasn't killed though.
That hare went in under the escape area, but we don't know what happened to it later because these hares die afterwards. Rangers have noted that hares, on the reports, the next day they'll find them dead in the pen from their injuries. I mean, if you get battered and mauled and you've got severe internal injuries, I mean, you may not die immediately. You'll probably linger and die later, which is dreadful. And in fact, when mooting was first, when muzzling the dogs was first mooted in the 80s, the late chief executive of the Irish Coursing Club, Jerry Desmond, said he's on record as saying that it would cause severe injuries to hares and that they wouldn't be able to recuperate and they'd die. And it was.
Are you saying that muzzling has made it worse for the hares?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is, before the hares were being pulled apart, then they put them, they muzzle the dogs, and the hares are now being walloped around the place and beaten. The thing is, it shouldn't be happening at all in this day and age. It shouldn't be happening that an animal is used as live bait in front of 2 greyhounds. The whole thing is appalling. It's an absolute travesty in 2016 in a modern country, supposedly civilised, Fran, that you can take an animal out of the wild and use it as live bait in front of 2 greyhounds. I mean, I'd watched that through my binoculars. My colleague filmed it. And I thought to myself, I just felt helpless standing there. And all I could think of, these 114 TDs who voted in favour of this should be standing looking at this. They should witness it.
Because where Maureen O'Sullivan's bill to abolish the coursing, Minister Humphreys said that there was no need for a ban because coursing hares were well treated as far as she was concerned.
Well, as far as she's concerned. I mean, she'd like to think that she's out of sight, out of mind. She wasn't there in Balnagar on Saturday watching that. But we sent her video footage, but I'm sure she'll just turn a blind eye, like they all do. They don't want to know. In fact, some of those TDs who don't like looking at nasty pictures or anything have blocked us now on Twitter and that when we sent them the video footage.
And any further regulation wouldn't suit you. You're looking for an all-out ban, is that it?
Fran, they can have reams, they can have thousands of conditions on the licence. It's not going to make any difference. If you've let out a hare in a field and let out 2 dogs after it, what do you think is going to happen? The hare, at the very least, is going to be terrorised out of its life. From the time it's taken up in nets, the whole thing, it's a wild animal belonging in the wild. They have no business taking a wild animal out of the wild in nets and using it like that as a lure for greyhounds to run after. They have a perfectly viable alternative, drag coursing. They could use that.
All right.
I don't know why they don't do that.
The piece of footage you're talking about is up on YouTube if people have the stomach to watch it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you watch that and you think I'm in Ireland today. I'm in a civilised country. And this is what is allowed to happen.
Right, but it is important to point out that the hare got away and the hare wasn't
we don't
killed.
know what happened after. It got a belting round the place, Fran. I mean, that was so severe, that mauling. I mean, it can, sometimes when people get hurt, they can actually get up and walk, and then they die. It's kind of the actual adrenaline pumping.
All right, you've sent this piece of footage to TDs, but what are you saying to me? That some of them have blocked it, is it?
Oh, yeah. Like recently, they don't want to know. They don't want to see that. Oh, don't show me that, Oh, my goodness, they can't look at that. Mm. But they can go troop in and they can vote for it. I mean, it's not as if before the bill that we hadn't, and loads of people hadn't been, they got huge correspondence on this. They would have been told the facts. But they just turned a blind eye. See no evil, hear no evil.
Of course, all the arguments that this is part of our culture. There's also the financial, where communities are concerned, what it brings into towns and villages when these things happen.
God.
All of the...
There wasn't much going on in Balnagar last Saturday, I can tell you. There wasn't much happening. We were probably the only people who bought a coffee in the place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they were there having their sandwiches in the field. They weren't bothering.
Mm.
They weren't, bringing economy to the town.
I'm just wondering, though, where you stand on
something. There wasn't many of them there, by the way, Fran.
Yeah, just for my own information, Aideen, where do you stand on horse racing and that kind of thing? Do you?
Well, horse racing has its problems, I can tell you, Fran. Horses die of heart attacks, horses die of accidents.
And would you have that banned as well?
We're not looking to ban horse racing. I mean, the thing is, we can't even get rid of the most appalling cruelty. And something else, hare coursing is actually exempted from prosecution in the Animal Health and Welfare Act. It has to be, because it's recognised as being cruel, but it has to be exempted.
It's legal.
I know, but it has to be it has to be exempted from prosecution in the Animal Health and Welfare Act. And in the previous legislation,
if people want to have a look at that if people want to have a look at that online, how can they do so? By the way, what do you look for?
If they just Google hare course, Balnagar hare mauled,
All right, they'll find it there. Aideen, there I must leave it for now. Thank you for talking to us today. That's Aideen Yourell of the Irish Council Against Bloodsports on that piece of footage. That is. It's disturbing enough now if you're an animal lover to have a look at, but if you want to have a look at it, it's up there on YouTube. All right, let me take a break and then we'll go to our broadcast centre in Nina.